Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Claus Raasted on the line, and he is director of the College of Extraordinary Experiences, and he's also a coach at McKinsey Company. Claus, welcome to the show.
Thank you. But you tricked me, Adam, right from the beginning, because now I'm on the website trying to find out how to become a co-author.
Oh,
so that's
man,
unfair, that intro of yours.
Hey, I'm in. That's what I'm talking about, creativity over here, and this is what we will be talking about today. And I like to start with our signature question, if you will. So, Claus, we at Mission Matters, so we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. So that's our mission here, and we do it day in and day out. Claus, what mission matters to you?
So the thing that gets me up in the morning, apart from my 3-year-old daughter, is, and that's just because she'll literally be stomping on my face if I don't get up. No, that's not true. She sleeps in late, but it sounds better, right? No, the thing that keeps me going and that kind of is my big why in life is to make the world a little bit more playful, a little bit more experimental, a little bit less afraid of failure, a little bit more what if instead of oh no. That's my mission. More play in the world.
Man, I love it. That's a great mission, and I think it's a lot of fun. And one of the reasons why I'm excited to have you on the show. So maybe just to get us, just to set the table, if you will, tell us a little bit more about the College of Extraordinary Experiences.
So the College of Extraordinary Experiences was born from two ideas. And I want you to imagine in your mind's eye, it's 5 years ago, 2016, and you're on a flight home from Abu Dhabi to Prague, Abu Dhabi in the Middle East to Prague in Europe. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting with me and Paul Bulencho, my co-founder, and we're sitting trying to figure out how to take over the world, because what else do you do when you're coming back from the Middle East? And we talk about we should do a tourist conference because tourist conferences are boring, which is where Paul comes from. He has a background in tourism. And then we realize, or at least we decide, that one of the problems is that people at conferences, professional conferences in general, are the same, which is good because you put together 50 lawyers, 50 doctors, 50 bricklayers, 50 police officers. They exchange information, they have a good time, and everybody learns. There's incremental innovation, which is great. But if you want radical innovation, then you need to have the Fortune 500 CEO sitting next to the street magician. You need to have the guy who directs a circus talking to somebody who drives Formula One race cars. That's when you get radical innovation. So we thought, what if we curate that sort of diversity of culture, of gender, of age, of kind of nationality, but also of industry and of background. So that's the one thing we thought. What if we have a very diverse cast? And the second thought came immediately after that, which is when you put these people together, what normally happens is they look at each other and then they think, you're too corporate, you're too artsy, you're too young, you're too old, you're too French, you're too wrong. And they don't exchange. They don't open up. So we thought we need to not only bring this curated cast together, we also need to throw them all out of their comfort zone into this weird, semi-magical reality where they'll have an experience together. So imagine going to an escape room together before you do the actual meeting, that sort of thinking. Just taken large. And that's the college in a nutshell.
Man, that's so much fun, and it sounds like it's right aligned with your mission of bringing more play and like thinking that you can do more and where that innovation and that silliness comes. And I mean I've always it's interesting because I've come from really like let's just say white lace. I was in finance for almost 14 years, so I come from the bigger firm background, and I always tried to bring that kind of playfulness to certain things where appropriate, and I found it's kind of difficult to bring into different things or into different cultures, if you will, if it wasn't already there. But I mean, what I think is interesting is that you're also a coach at McKinsey Company. So I mean, that would be a little bit more on the straight lace side of things, if you will. And so how do you kind of meld those two worlds? Because now I'm able to do it because I'm in media and I can do whatever. Well, I can't say I can do whatever I want, but I mean I'm in a little bit more different shoes than managing money. But that being said, there's room for it in my opinion anywhere. So I mean, what's your experience with that? Because some people are listening and they're like, is this for me?
So my experience, and I'm glad you're bringing McKinsey there, which is, it's always nice when people kind of say, oh yeah, Mr. Weird long-haired guy that looks like Jesus, that's fine. But where's your corporate credentials? And they're like, oh, did you see the McKinsey pin? Oh, did I mention that? That always makes it easier. But the truth is that McKinsey pulls me in when they need somebody to look at things differently. Because they're very, very good at some things, extremely good at some things. They have this insane corporate culture that is so strong, and they are so skilled at some things. But there are others they're simply not trained in. So when I get brought into assignments, it's because they need that different outlook, that weird magic, that dancing bear thing. A friend of mine who I worked with at McKinsey, who's another freelancer, said, Klaus, you're a little bit like a dancing bear, that you put it on stage, you hope it's not going to shit all over the stage, but you can't look away because it's a dancing bear, right? And that, I think that too, in a nutshell, is me in a corporate setting, that I get pulled in because I'm not like the others. And everybody's a little bit afraid that I'm going to shit on the stage, but they're also looking to see me dance. And usually, if I manage to not crap all over the place, they throw some peanuts at me and ask for another round.
Man, that's awesome, and very, very visual representation there, which we appreciate. So one of the things, just talking to you for the couple minutes that we've been talking, I mean, you're obviously a great storyteller, and you obviously pay attention to your craft. I mean, what do you think are some of the keys of really, telling your story the way that you want to?
I mean, there's the easy answer, and then there's the real answer. The real answer is passion, training, experimentation, failure, community, mentorship, yada, yada, yada. All the boring stuff that makes you an expert after 25 years. The easy answer is experimentation. Don't be afraid of trying out. Because essentially, let's say you have the same problem and you approach it every day. And the problem is you're in a meeting with your boss and it's boring. Just as a simple problem. And if you every day try something different, at some point you're going to hit something you like. At some point you're going to hit something your boss likes. And maybe even one day, day 161, you're going to hit something both of you like. And then you move on. And what keeps people from progressing or kind of upskilling radically, in my experience, isn't that they don't have ideas. It's that they don't try. The difference between innovation and daydreaming is actually trying it out. Being okay with falling flat on your face, doing something that hopefully won't cost you your job, but at least might lead somewhere, trying out stuff and being okay with failure. That, I think, is at its core. Whether you want to become a great storyteller, you want to become a great innovator, a great entrepreneur, a great parent, a great anything, is trying out stuff, throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, and not being afraid of the stuff that kind of splatters to the floor.
Is there a secret to sparking this creativity, or to getting through that? Or I don't know if the word secret, but what would your tips be to start to spark that creativity?
So I love that you asked that question, because it gives me the chance to give one of my favorite rants, which is that there are three kind of core ways that are interesting communication when you're trying to help somebody or when somebody wants to be helped. And two of them work, and the third is what we usually get. So if somebody comes in, let's say you hear a speech by Barack Obama, somebody like charismatic and worldly and with a strong message, and it resonates. And you go home and you think, wow, I want to quit smoking or become a better parent or help the green revolution or whatever it is you want to go. You do something because you were so inspired by that Barack Obama speech. That's cool. That's great. That can be 5 minutes on YouTube. It can be 2 minutes in person. It could be a documentary. It could be anything. But that sort of communication works. The motivational, the hyper-motivational, like, now I'm going to change my life because this really resonated. That works. On the other end of the spectrum is the detailed how-to. Somebody tells you how to actually do something, and then they tell you which button to push, where the menu is, how many times to do it per day, blah, 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 blah. It's when you do a Photoshop course. They don't just tell you, and now get better at Photoshop. It's like, okay, you point the mouse to the top of the screen. There's a small menu. It's called View. Point number 8 is View Screen. You click that and like, oh, okay. Then you've leveled up. You now know something new. This also works. These two forms of communication are super strong. The super motivational but general, and the super specific but actual, like hands-on. How do you do it? How do you fix the wiring, or how do you do the thing? What we get most of, though, is the middle ground. If somebody gets on stage and says, Adam, we should think while thinking. And you go, wow, I like that, deep, insightful. What the hell does he mean? And it's what we have with so many speakers, and I'm sometimes one of them, so many speakers around the globe. We get pulled in, and then we get asked to do this like motivation and teach them a little bit, and then it ends up being this watered down things that sound good on a stage, but afterwards people are like, I don't know how to do it. And it's slogans and it's powerful phrases, but nobody knows what to do it. So you get the Barack Obama inspiration, but you don't get the knowledge of how to do layers in Photoshop. And that means you're so inspired, but you don't know where to go with it. And then it's kind of like, okay, business as usual. I guess it was a nice talk, a TED Talk or a coaching session or whatever, but you don't know how to change. And you need both. You need Barack Obama to make you want to become better, but you also need the guy who will teach you how to do Facebook campaigns so you actually know how to get more customers instead of just saying, think about social media in a social media way, which is great, but it doesn't teach you anything.
Oh man,
rant over.
Well said, and I like it because I mean the point here too that I'm hearing is that like the whole idea of like sparking this creativity and of coming up with these new ideas and innovation is to actually do something. Like it's actually to create your test, it's to implement, it's to see your experiment out in the world, and hopefully it works. Sometimes it won't, right? But when it does work, it's to kind of to really move the needle, as opposed to I'm all for, by the way, incremental change and other things. And I mean we have different things in different stages we're at in business, but like for those real breakthroughs, like when you really want to do something, like right now internally, I can tell you. So we've like I've been kind of getting this whole thought in my team headed about like a new direction we're going in, and I'm kind of like we're going to probably cannibalize a lot of what we've done in the past, but it's for the future of what's scalable and growth and like what can really make us bring something like just adds a really unique value to the marketplace. And I've been telling my team like in my own way, like can you imagine like how crazy, and I'm not comparing myself to this individual by the way at all, but I just mean like how crazy it must have been when they said we're not going to sell it, we're going to cannibalize iPods with the iPhone. And you're like, now it's like common sense, right? Because there's so many iPhones and we see what's happened, right? The marketplace, the ecosystems. But that moment when they were dominating the world for like from Walkman or CD player to now this magical thing called an iPod, oh my gosh. And now you say you want to cannibalize it with other products? Like it's hard. But that's the kind of like true innovation and the things that I think can be like sparked from like really tapping into that creativity side of things, like really sparking that creativity.
I couldn't agree more. And I think if you add to that, make it sure that people know what they're actually doing, because it's super, super easy to be general. It's super, super easy to tell people how to do a thing in theory. But at some point, somebody needs to push a button or move a box or make some food or whatever it is, kick a ball. But they need to actually do that thing. And if you just go in, if you're going to teach, let's say you're going to teach NFL football and you want to change that, if you go in and say, we need to flow with the tactics. Well, that's true, but what does it mean? Do I run right? Do I throw the ball after 3 seconds? What's going on here? And some of that is, I think we sometimes forget in this fast-flowing world that one of the innovations in the NFL, for example, I can't remember if it's the West Coast or the East Coast system, but they deliberately, somebody came up with the idea of saying after 3 seconds, the receiver knows the position, or the quarterback knows the position of the receivers. They will be here, here, and here. After 5 seconds, they will be here, here, and here. After 7, they will be here, and here, and here. And afterwards, it's just improvisation. But knowing those 3 steps means that you could train these situations, and it was hugely effective. And that is like, it's not just, okay, we do a thing, but it's like, what is the nuts and bolts of it? Where is the guy when I throw the football? Instead of just saying you should think about your receivers. And I think that's one of my core messages, is that it's very easy to get caught up in things that are true, motivational, but don't really help. And I'd rather have some things that are specific and actually, what button do I press?
Fantastic. Well, Klaus, I have to tell you, first off, I can talk to you all day long. I already know, but we're about out of time for this episode. So that being said, if somebody wants to learn more about the College of Extraordinary Experiences or to connect with you and your journey and your team, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
So there are 3 easy ways. Extraordinary.college is where you find the college. That's the website, extraordinary.college. No .com sort of stuff, extraordinary.college. The second is I'm on LinkedIn. There's only one Claus Raasted, for better and worse, so I'm pretty easy to find there. And the third is, if you want to get a feel for kind of my thinking and maybe figure out, okay, this guy's not for me, then I recently did 100 innovation keynotes in 100 days, and they're freely available on YouTube. So there's 100 keynotes with my name on them out there about innovation.
Man, that's awesome. Well, Klaus, again, appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your journey and all the great stuff you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. If you did, don't forget, hit that subscribe button. We definitely want you to be a return listener and a return visitor. And Klaus, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And subscribe.